aka Q&A. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is that maestro of the questions, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
Ah, yes, we're back after taking a week off, not long after we said we're going weekly.
Well, part of that is because you took under the Herculean effort to move everything over to a new server, because what we had was not so hot. Kind of on its last dying gasp, and we didn't realize it until you started excavating files. So that's where we were. When my tech guy is busy doing tech things, we can't really do the show. I'm that useless.
I guess. Yeah. It was a bit of took a bit of effort, but bumbleking.com and kngi.org are officially over on new hosting. It's very fancy. It's very fast. It's very nice. I quite enjoy it. But the task of getting it over there was not an easy one. So that's what I worked on. And so I decided, we'll just take a week off and get that sorted out. And it took about a week to sort it out. But it's there. It's good. It's fine. Nothing is ruined. Well, maybe some things are a little ruined, but nothing you need to worry about. Just don't look behind the curtain.
Given how old some of the installations were and how long we'd put off actually doing any upgrades or moves, I think it was pretty good what all we got.
Yeah. The old server had prevented us from doing updates to WordPress, which, if you know anything about WordPress, not being able to update it is very bad. If you're not updating WordPress, you pretty much become a vector for hackers, and it's like, well, maybe we should do something about this. So, yeah. If we want a little bit of the behind the scenes things that are going on there, we had not been hacked or anything, but it was definitely something we were concerned about. I was concerned about it, at least, and I'm like, okay, well, this needs to be fixed eventually, so let's try and fix it now. And then I actually ended up breaking the old server almost completely in the process. So, yeah, well, it's fine. It's fine.
Quick bits of news. Minmin has been announced for Smash, and I believe she's out now.
I believe so, yes.
I have neither the time or the money to investigate that, but hey, Minmin.
me neither. But yes, I think she was actually, in retrospect, kind of the obvious choice. I don't know. It seems like it. Other than, Ribbon Girl and what's his face? Can't remember his name. Springman. There we go. Ribbon Girl and Springman. There we go. But they're already in the game as like assist trophies or whatever, so they can't be characters. Apparently, that means they can't be characters because they're already in there as assist trophies. So we got Minmin instead. She's like the third character I'd associate with the game behind those two, I suppose. Other than maybe Twintel. Twintel might be up there too. Mm-hmm. The thing is with Twintel, though, I'm guessing this is probably why they didn't go with Twintel, is because she doesn't fight with arms. It's her hair, so,
Yeah, I was hoping for her because of how unique she is in the roster, but at the same time, if you're putting in a rep for a series, you probably want someone who is a little more indicative of the standard.
Correct.
And when the producer of ARMS says, hey, use this character specifically, it's kind of a done deal.
Yeah. I guess you kind of have to.
But she looks neat. I hope to get her eventually. But right now, I've been focusing on other stuff. And Aaliyah's been pretty much taking over everything with Animal Crossing. But one of the things I've been distracted by is unlocking Tangle the Lemur in Sonic Dash.
Holy crap. This is freaking cool.
Is crazy. Never before has a comic exclusive character gotten this much recognition by the main brand. I've seen folks point to the Freedom Fighters in Sonic Spinball.
Sonic Spinball.
Sally was a major fixture in the promotions, especially in Sega of Australia. But folks are forgetting that was based on the cartoon, which had far more viewership than the comic ever had readers. Those are representative of the Western twist on the IP. It's a completely different scenario.
Right.
We could do a whole show talking about the differences between SatAM Freedom Fighters and post and pre-reboot Freedom Fighters. That's a whole other topic. But, the Freedom Fighters got their small nod in a non-canon game from way back in the day. That's that. Tangle and Whisper, though, this is crazy. This is super cool. If you have somehow not heard the news and you're only hearing it now, the two Sega Hard Light mobile games that are running right now, Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Speed Battle, will be receiving Tangle and Whisper as unlockable playable characters. Technically, Sonic Dash 2, Sonic Boom is still running, but that's not getting any support, I don't think. Anyway, as of this recording, Tangle is available to unlock in Sonic Dash. You have to collect 500 Tangle tokens by just grabbing them on the regular tracks. It is not hard to do. And once you do, you unlock her. She does not have any animal multipliers, which is a little disappointing, but it's Tangle in a game. Come on! Now, I don't know what the timetable for anything else is. I just know that they're coming. Tangle's event should wrap up sometime during the week of this episode, so I'm assuming Whisper will come right on the tail end of that. And as of this recording, Speed Battle has the heavy metal event where they're promoting heavy and big and Metal Sonic as special unlockables.
Looks like, wow, they brought back heavy. Jeez, that's a deep cut.
The focus is on them. I'm assuming once that event wraps later this week, then we'll get the 3-tiered Tangle and Whisper one. And that's what I'm super excited about, because Speed Battle has unique projectile, trap, and defensive abilities for each character. And I want to know what they do for Tangle and Whisper. I want to know what they get. Like, do they get something super special exclusive? Do they get some variation on other characters? Just so many options. I want to know, Kyle. I want it so bad. It's so freaking cool.
It's freaking awesome. I love it. I have not played Sonic Dash in forever. I didn't even necessarily realize it was still getting updates. But yeah, apparently it's got that game's got legs, because it's been out for like what, 7 years, 8 years? This is a long time. It's pretty old. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm probably gonna have to pick that one up again. And I've not played Sonic Forces Speed Battle at all, so I'm gonna have to give them both a shot now.
Yeah.
Now that I finally got my phone back too, that going without a phone for 2 weeks, by the way, a good phone that's actually usable. I don't recommend it, but still, anyway, that's unrelated. But yeah, this is awesome. I love it. I hope that this bodes well for more good things to come as far as character representation of the comics in other media for Sonic. Hopefully we get more Tangle and Whisper elsewhere in like maybe in a Sonic team game. That would kind of be like mind blowing.
I see. Normally I would just kind of go, yeah, that would be nice. I'm not going to hold my breath for it. And now this, I legit don't know. The sky is the limit. Yeah. Everything that I thought I knew must be unlearned.
I'm wondering who's like, do you know who's behind this? Like, I
primarily know, the fans.
Well, right, but Hardlight is
legit. It's part of Sega marketing. It's part of IDW. I'm sure there's other. See, I don't really know because it was a surprise to me. I don't know how many individual groups were coming into this, but the only reason why it moved forward was fan demand. So if you are hyped for this, it is because you showed that hype by buying the book and buying the miniseries and buying up all those pins when they were on the Sega shop. This is because of you people. And that is just as incredible as them even getting in the mobile games. So pat yourselves on the back, folks. There has been a great deal of discourse on the interwebs about it, and there are folks who are kind of put out that, you know, the kind of mainstay representation of the comic exclusive characters like the Freedom Fighters didn't get picked up. And you know what, guys? I'm right there with you. It is kind of bittersweet for me.
Right.
I would love to see those guys show up. When we did the post-reboot stuff, all those characters that we introduced were designed with kind of the same mentality that the IDW extended cast is, in that how would they fit into the game universe? So Eclipse, Relic, Razor, any of those guys, they were designed with the hopes that maybe they might get some attention from the home office and get promoted. So the fact that they're gone now and that opportunity has passed does make me a little sad. But at the same time, just because a good thing has happened now shouldn't be diminished by it didn't happen earlier. I mean, yeah, that's a little disappointing, but be happy with what we got. So,
yeah. Yep. I agree. It is a shame that never got any real good representation for the old comics, but I am still very happy to see Tangle and Whisper, really going places.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Especially since they're in Endless Runner games. So, they're definitely going places. A lot of places for a very long time. Anyway, we ready to jump into the Q&A, Ian?
Yes, sir. Why don't you tell the wonderful people listening how they can get their question answered on the show?
All right. Well, you can email us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com, Twitter at BumbleKast, via Ko-fi at ko-fi at ko-fi.com/BumbleKast. Down in the YouTube comments, if you're watching this on YouTube, or via Patreon comments or messages, or in the Q&A channel on Discord. Keep in mind that if the question's been answered within the last few episodes, is on the FAQ, or is about past Sonic plans, we likely won't answer it. If your question hasn't been answered in a while, check those places. All right, well, let's jump into some priority Q&A. We got a whole grip of priority Q&A this week. It's a ton of them. You guys have been very active, apparently. And hey, it's the return of our good buddy Scruffymatt to the priority Q&A this week. Good to have you back, sir. All right, here we go. He says, "Hey there, fellas. I hope you're having a good podcast." It's all right.
So far, so good.
I was wondering what your favorite Sonic game soundtracks are. I've been listening to the Sonic Generations and Sonic Mania soundtracks recently while I've been working on my achievements, and those two are just chef's kiss. Truly, especially Sonic Mania.
Gosh. I'm glad you said some of, because really, is there a bad Sonic soundtrack?
Well, there's boring ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe some middling ones, but there's never really any ones that are just like outright bad.
Like, yeah,
maybe
not unlistenable.
There, but...
Yeah, but there's like, what is it? Rise of Lyric. Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric. It's not bad, it's just boring.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
That's worse, actually. I'd rather it be bad than boring.
Like Sonic 06, as much of a train wreck as it was gameplay wise, that soundtrack is gorgeous.
They put a lot of money into that soundtrack. They really had plans for that game, and then they completely botched them.
Lost World's got a really fun soundtrack. It's weird for a Sonic game, but it's a neat soundtrack by itself. And one of my favorite things to do is go from the first Deadly Six fight for their theme, which is all done in banjos and it's very playful and it's goofy. And then you get the final version where it's orchestral and there's electric guitar and it's like, oh crap, these guys are serious.
Clearly, they were definitely musically inspired in that game a little bit by the same inspiration that brought the game into fruition, which was Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
And Sonic Colors, actually, too. Sonic Colors, the orchestral soundscape of that game is like, wow, okay, man, you put some work into this one.
That and the whole thing is just this happy, peppy, poppy, groovalicious soundtrack. Sweet Mountain, I could listen on loop until my brain melted out of my ears.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There isn't a bad song in that game. Everyone's a freaking banger.
And back when I could go outside and use the gym, I could put on Sonic R and hop on the elliptical, and I could feel the sunshine. It was brightening up my day as I'm, huffing and puffing and trying to trim.
Yes.
That is a good running soundtrack because it keeps you upbeat. It gets you a good tempo to get into. It's so many good tracks, so many good soundtracks.
Yes. I mean, you can go back to the classics. I mean, come on. The Genesis games, every single one of those soundtracks is a freaking masterpiece.
Oh yeah,
that's like I can't pick just one because they're all great. I mean, Sonic 3 and Knuckles probably has the standout of the classics there, but I mean that's two freaking games combined into one. So, let's see what else. I mean, I even like Spinball. I like Spinball's soundtrack. If you listen to Spinball on real hardware, it definitely fares a lot better than it does in emulation. Those grindy guitars, they're not great in an emulator, but on the real thing, they actually sound pretty decent. So I'm okay with it. I'm trying to think of any others. I mean, Sonic Adventure is a freaking classic.
Yeah.
I like Sonic Adventures, the original Sonic Adventures soundtrack, probably the best of the Dreamcast era. And can't think of any others right now. There's there really is just all of them are just so good. The two soundtracks for Sonic CD and Sonic 3D Blast. It's like, hey, that's just a bonus.
Yep,
you get two of them. That's great. And I mean, yeah. So our favorite Sonic game soundtracks, pretty much all of them.
We are spoiled for choice.
Yes. Even the Game Gear games have some decent songs. So, yeah. Up next, we got one from Crooker. What kinds of things would you try to do to differentiate the Chaos Emeralds from the Super Emeralds in a hypothetical alternate reality where they were still canon?
Oh, geez. Well, going by what very, very little the games give us, they seem to be empowered by the Master Emerald rather than neutralized. So that's an interesting aspect to play with. And the fact that they grant a hyperstate, which is an even more powerful version than Super, might be something to look into. Might take a page out of Sonic the Comic and say that the power is just a little too much to wield, given that Sonic has a screen-clearing flash, and Knuckles is like rocking the walls when he flies into them. But I don't know. I honestly haven't entertained the idea since they've been off limits for so long.
Yeah. I think there was like an early on they made like references to the Super Emeralds in the comics. I want to say, geez, when they were about contemporary, but then they never came up again. And as a kid, I was always like, where are the Super Emeralds? I want to see those.
Oh,
and
man.
it never really happened.
When I was compiling the encyclopedia, it isn't a very solid narrative, but what it boils down to is that the Super Emeralds were 7 empowered Chow called the 7 servers, and they disappear with Tikal and Chaos at the end of the Sonic Adventure adaptation.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah, and then there's a Black Chaos Emerald that's not associated with any bit and just off-brand. So off-brand.
Don't think about it too hard.
I don't have to anymore.
All right. Here's one from Chris A. If Penders didn't file the lawsuit against Archie Comics, would the pre-reboot Sonic still exist and reach to issue 300?
Well, no, because the relationship between Archie Comics and Sega ended before we got to 300, which was, oh shoot, how many years after the reboot? 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, it was a while. I don't think people realize just how long the post-reboot was.
Mm-hmm. Also, to keep records straight, it was Archie that filed the complaint against that individual because he was filing copyrights on characters that Archie claimed. So,
right.
Let's keep things accurate and whatnot.
All right, next one comes from Andrew D. It's just been revealed that Tangle and Whisper will be coming to Sonic Dash and Sonic Force's Speed Battle.
Yeah!
Are they fully owned by Sega, or is it a joint ownership between them and Sega? I don't know who them is. I assume maybe IDW.
I'm assuming they mean IDW.
And do you think this opens the door to other Sonic characters from the other comics or TV shows? I'd love to see Styx, for example. Yeah, you and me both, buddy. Still waiting.
This is multi-level. I am assuming, and this comes with a big asterisk because I am not a legal expert at all. I do not know the fine print of the deal between the licensing agreement of Sega and IDW. But I am assuming that Sega owns everything because it's tied to the license. And I would assume the contracts would be very clear about that given what we just discussed. And not wanting to repeat past mistakes.
Given history, yes.
So I believe it's the same deal as Capcom and the Mega Man comic, where Capcom would technically own the rights to Quake Woman, Tempo, and Dr. Lilinde and all of that. So I am assuming that, yes, Sega owns Tangle, Whisper, Mimic, Rough, Tumble, blah, 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 blah. And by that extension, they can use them as little or as much as they want. Does this open the door to other IDW characters? I guess. Maybe. I mean, it sets a precedent, but precedents mean very little when it comes to what Sega will approve at one point or another. Does it mean it will open the door to past material? Probably not, because they are different spin-off properties and they are regarded differently within the company from my experience. Something else to keep in mind is that, none of the TV shows have been airing since, when did Sonic X go off the air? Early 2000s?
It's like 2003, 4, 5-ish. I don't know, somewhere around there.
SatAM's been dead for 20 years. They're not really beholden to, excavating those corpses, really. Sonic Boom, from my understanding, is not being pursued at the moment, given that the cartoon series is not renewed and the one mobile game is not getting any updates. So I don't foresee them getting used anytime soon. Styx is the weird one, though.
Yeah.
Because there was a series of manga used on Sonic Channel introducing all of the characters in the modern Sonic universe, and Styx was among them. So was she going to be folded into the cast and then they backed off on the idea, or what? I don't know. When I've tried to use her in the comic, I've been asked to not do it yet. Like, I've not been told she's off limits, period. I'm just told, let's not go there right now. So I honestly don't know where Styx falls in terms of viability. But given that she was a main component to the Boom spin-off franchise, she is a completely different beast than the comic exclusive characters.
Alrighty. Well, let's get into one from Koopaling Crew. What's your reaction to Tangle and Whisper appearing in Sonic mobile games? Does this influence your decision? Does this influence your decisions and how you make new characters for the IDW series?
No. It, if anything, reinforces the idea that what I did was right. Because as I was saying earlier, everything I did post reboot and Archie and everything I've done with IDW Sonic is to create these characters in a way that fit modern Sonic, so that if they were to be adapted against all odds, and here we are, they would feel like natural fits into that universe. Post reboot Archie was a little more experimental, pressing the boundaries of the universe as it was established, because we don't really have fish Mobians in the games. We don't have Mobian styled aliens. So that was kind of an exploration of the greater universe. And with a lot of the extended Freedom Fighter teams, we wanted to honor what came before where we could and fit it into a theme. With the IDW characters, we were much more focused on, or at least I was much more focused on, how would they work game-wise. Like, Sonic Forces had just come out, and I'm like, okay, if this is the kind of style of gameplay that they're going to use going forward, how would new characters kind of fit into that mold? And that's why Whisper has a variable Wispon. That's why part of the reason why Tangle has a stretchy tail, because it would more or less work like the Avatar character's grapple claw launcher thingy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the exclusive reason why Tangle has the stretchy tail. It's all kind of a complicated mix of things, but each character is designed to be something that would fit game-wise. Dr. Starline is more of a story-oriented character. I can't really see him gameplay-wise. But then again, with what we're planning for bad guys, he needs to have a more active role, so maybe that will influence things. I don't know, Kyle. The fact that they're in the mobile games just blows everything out of the water. But we're not going to be introducing too many new characters. Like with the post-reboot Archie, the reason why there was such a glut of extended cast was because people wanted that extended universe feel. The pre-reboot had grown so much in so many different directions that it had this epic feel to it. Whether or not it was cohesive, there were all these different characters and factions and regions that just, it made the world feel enormous. And we were trying to build that as fast as we could in post-reboot, while still maintaining that more game Sega-centric design focus. So while they weren't necessarily extraneous characters, they weren't necessarily developed with individual focused objectives. They had kind of a theme. They were built to be compartmentalized so that each region had an extended cast to visit. With IDW Sonic, each character is like laser focused to bring something new to the Sonic formula. We're not looking at Freedom Fighter teams. We're not looking at establishing whole regions. We're looking at what can we add to what's established to fill in niches that have not been touched, or to challenge the characters in interesting ways, or to investigate stories that the present cast won't touch or wouldn't necessarily be best fit for. We don't have a ton of active female characters in modern Sonic. You have Amy, but her characterization kind of waffles. You have Cream, which I've had a lot of difficulty getting approved in an active role. And you have Rouge, who is not necessarily going to be a heroic character. The notes I've gotten back on her have tried to steer her more towards the selfish dark side. And Blaze, if you want to include her, she has to have a reason to come from her own dimension, which comes with a lot of baggage. So we don't really have a lot of free and clear active female roles. And that's disappointing. And that's part of why Tangle and Whisper exists, is so that the girls reading this book have someone to identify with and enjoy, that it's not just all the dudes all the time.
All the dudes all the time. All those dudes everywhere. Gross.
I know that almost sounds like a good Crush 40 song, though. All the dudes, all the time.
Yeah, probably. It'll happen sometime. June will write that. And finally, for priority Q&A at least, here's Diane W. In the Archie reboot, if there was a mandate that Sega characters are not allowed to have family members introduced into the comics, a mandate that Penders characters or locations or events cannot be mentioned or named beyond vague references, and a mandate that classic forms of characters can't be implied to be younger forms of the characters, how are you able to get away with giving Shadow a biological brother in the form of Eclipse the Darkling, making Nagas and Wendy Witchcart brother and sister, retelling the story of how Sally met Nicole in holo form for the first time, and making Sonic, Tails, and even some of the Sad AM cast look like their classic selves when going into flashbacks of their past?
Good question.
Magic.
Number one, let's be clear. I never received a direct stipulation from Sega not to include pre-reboot material of any kind. That was more of an in-house Archie thing for obvious reasons.
Correct.
Again, just credit where it's due. Let's keep a record straight. In terms of Shadow and Eclipse, well, with any of them really, it's all in how you phrase it.
Exactly.
When you send it to Japan to get approved. Shadow and Eclipse are not biological brothers. Eclipse just thinks of him that way. Yes, they come from the same species, but they're not really brothers. Wink, wink. Wendy Witchcart, we didn't necessarily point out that we were reviving old villains from the Game Gear era. We just kind of said, here's this cast and crew. They're villains. Let's go with
just leave the information out. It's not a lie. It's not a lie if you never tell them.
And anytime classic style characters show up, why, that's just classic characters. That's not a flashback. What are you talking about? Now, granted, this was before there was really a clear distinction of classic and modern in terms of different branches of the franchise.
Right, yeah.
But still, it was, we just kind of told, this is a story that has classic style characters in it. Here's a scene that has classic style characters in it. Or, just write the script and then the editor, when he speaks to the artist, goes, it doesn't say that in the script, but just make it classic looking. It was kind of slipping things under the radar. Part of the reason why that worked is that things were different with Archie. Whenever we introduced a new character, it was approved in-house. The design went to the editor, and there was some back and forth, and then it was in the book. With IDW Sonic, everything is approved by Sega. They approved Tangle's design. They approved Whisper's design. I think I may be wrong, but I want to say that her mask might have been a note from Sega. I think they said include something like that because they thought it would work better for her character. I could be wrong. It's been a while.
Oh, yeah. That's one time executive meddling actually worked out.
Rough and tumble, like the fact that they have the yellow and red eyes, that was a Sega directive on the design. Mimic's age is something established by Sega. I didn't think of him as 30 years old initially, but apparently that's what he is now. So there you go. They approve every facet this time around. So the days of just kind of going, here it is, go, doesn't work anymore.
What is age in Sonic's world anyway? It seems to be it seems to be pretty fluid as far as age versus maturity.
A miserable pile of inaccuracies.
Numbers.
Really and truly, I kind of wish they would do away with the official ages and just give them blanket terms so that, Cream and Tails are young. Sonic and Amy are teens. Eggman and Vanilla are adults. Gerald is old. Just give us that nice broad definition, because 16 and 12-year-old possibly hooking up, not so great. Not a fan of that.
Who knows?
And Cream doesn't act like any 6-year-old in the world. Give me a break.
No,
Little Tails.
No.
Big
No.
the Cat is 20 years old. Tell me how that makes sense.
Are you saying he should be older?
I'm saying it doesn't make...
I think I do. I also think he should be older. I mean, 20 is a little weird, but whatever, He's a simple man with simple needs.
Let's go to Quebec, Froggy. We can drink there. That's what we need in this world. More drunk Big the Cat.
We do. We really
Hey,
do.
big guy. No. Hey, little guy. Can you tell me who came first? I'm talking to you, little buddy. Talking to you, Froggy. Froggy, where are you? Can't find my keys.
You shouldn't be driving, Big. You shouldn't be driving. You shouldn't be driving when you're sober, probably. I don't know.
Team Sonic Racing, of course he knows how to drive.
I know. They all know how to drive. They have to. They're all underage, but they all know how to drive. It's perfect. No. It's great. Just what I want. Just what you want, like a 10-year-old or however old Tails is driving a car.
Well, I mean, if he built it himself, I guess he has the right to drive it.
Sure.
But then you plug a bunch of chow into one, and how does that make any sense? Let's move on.
Their collective ages all add up. Aren't they ancient creatures anyway or something? I don't know.
Maybe they held him up to a NASCAR racer and they just kind of nuzzled to him and squeak, squeak, sparkle, sparkle. They know how to drive now.
Exactly. But they only know how to turn left. Okay. Well, that's the priority Q&A out of the way. That's a lot of priority Q&A this week. So let's hop into the standard Q&A. Here's one from Adriana R. This one's been kicking around for a while, so we're finally getting to it. Do you know any character name in the Jackal Squad? We, the fans, know that Infinite is not his real name, but we really want to know. Some of the fans have ideas of Jackal Squad members' names that can be close to it. I assume they mean close to Infinite's name.
No. As far as I'm aware, Jackal Squad has no names. They didn't have designs. Everything you see in the tie-in comic is by Adam Bryce Thomas. They were approved by Sega, clearly. I mean, they wrote the story, basically. But they had no names, they had no personalities, they had nothing to them. They were just Jackal Squad. As for Infinite, that is his real name. I asked this specifically when writing up the script. I said, can we, touch on what his name was before he became Infinite? And go, no, that's his name. It's always been his name. It's like, okay.
Sure. We'll go with that. Here's the next one from Joe W. Do you have any plans to compile Dragoon into a physical book?
Yes. Once book one is completed, I don't know if we will run a Kickstarter or if the patron support will be enough to fund it or if I'll be able to fund it myself. Me have money. Or if we'll find a publisher to do it for us. But yes, I absolutely want to get Dragoon compiled into big old Dead Tree editions.
Do it. All right. Eduardo Q is our final question for this week. He says, hi, with the new BumbleKast format, I was motivated to ask something, but I'm not sure what. Screw it. I'm asking something dumb.
Do it.
If the Bumble King and the KNGI network would fuse, would their name become the Bumble KNGI?
Yes.
Of course. What else would it be? I mean, bold of you to assume they aren't already fused. I mean, at this point, at this rate, we're already sharing a web server. I mean, we do a show together. And I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I would co-host KNGI more if you wanted me to show up. I would be happy to do so.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
And, I mean, it's already kind of an anagram of Bumble King anyway.
Kind of,
yeah. My only objection My only objection to Bumble KNGI is
yeah.
that Nitro Game Injection is so much older and has so much more to it. I would feel like I am usurping your crown, and I would feel bad about that.
I'm sorry. Like, how does that work? So much more to it. Like, dude, your legacy in comic books stretches back. How long? How long have you been doing this? Like 15 years now?
Comic books are like just the only reason people come to BumbleKast. And BumbleKast is a still fairly young show. KNGI, if you guys haven't listened to it yet, what are you doing? Go listen to it. It is hours, years upon years of quality music. You've had all sorts of interesting guest people come on. It's just a good old time. You are an established piece of media, sir.
Well, thank you. I have a very small niche, but I fill it. And that's
Indeed.
all that matters, I suppose. But, I mean, I'm just thinking like Bumble King in general, not BumbleKast specifically. I mean, if you go back, the Bumble King name has been established for what? How long? 25 years? However long ago?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
I suppose.
that was just kind of a guess, but I was thinking like when you were in college, like it would have been like 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Bumble King was meant more to be a print imprint. And we see how well that's done so far. You have actually done things. You have been the Nitro Game Injection.
I mean, I guess I've not injected.
You have injected the games nitrously.
I don't understand. I don't understand where this is going, Ian.
You're assuming I understand it either. I'm rambling at this point.
Okay. Is this just us and no, you're great. No, you're great. Is this us pointing fingers at each other? Is this our Spider-Man? Is this our two Spider-Men pointing fingers at each other moment? Is that what this is? You know what? Let's point some fingers elsewhere. Let's point them at the patrons, because that's not rude.
No. Well, we are going to point them out because they are wonderful people. They make this show possible. Some of them have been with us since the beginning. You guys are amazing. So I'm going to give a big thank you to all of you before my throat caves in. Big thank you to Jennifer H., Matt S., Owen B., Preston M., Salute Your Cat, Crooker, Diane W., Justin S., Blue Title Gamer, Coupling Crew, Frederick, Andrew D., Dave M., Connell T., Duas Diz Den, Final Neil, Silly String, Takaro, Overthinking Films, Lisa M., Torchbound, Matthew S., Lee H., Dawn B., Chevelle, Chris A., John B., Sam Cybercat, Sin Fritz, John M., Jennifer R., Mike B., Samuel P., Daniel H., Justin G., Alex P., and James K.
Excellent.
Oh, it's been a while since I've done that.
Oh, yeah, and those names were in a different order this week. Dun, dun, dun. It's just funny. I'm just used to a certain cadence. So, anyway. Thank you to all of you who support us. It's all very lovely, and we're just amazed that anybody wants to support us at all. So, thank you. Ian, where can people find you on the internet? Can you do you have enough voice left in you to do that?
I can persevere. Head over to Twitter at Ian Flynn BKC to see announcements or the occasional random bit of fluff from my end. Head over to BumbleKing.com on that brand spanking new server. It has the release calendar for all releases coming up that I've worked on that I know of, and my entire body of work. Also, head over to Dragoon.com. That's Drogune. That is my original webcomic with Adam Bryce Thomas. You can find links to fan art, to the Patreon page where we could really use your support, as well as to the Webtoon version of the comic, which you can subscribe to for free. If you are a Webtoon user, please do subscribe, even if you read it off the main site, because it helps us get more attention and inches us ever closer to qualifying for that sweet, sweet ad revenue.
Delicious. You can find me on Twitter at KyleJCRB. You can also head on over to the newly established, well, not newly established, but re-established KNGI.org, We can find archived episodes of the BumbleKast in MP3 downloadable format for your listening pleasure on any device. Well, I mean, any device that can play MP3s, at least. I mean, good luck trying to play MP3s in your microwave. You could try.
Give it time, man. Give it time.
I know. There's already like smart fridge integration, so yeah, you could probably listen to this show on your fridge. And also check out my other show, Nitro Game Injection. It streams live on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where I feature excellent video game music arrangements from the broader video game music fan community. So check that out as well. Also, kngi.org and bumbleking.com are both hosted on the same server. And if you go to either one of them, you'll notice how nice and speedy and responsive they are compared to how they used to be. Super nice. It's great. You should go over there and click some things and marvel at how fast they look. It's great.
You can follow the show on Twitter at BumbleKast. You can contact us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com for any business or other related options. You can also listen to the show off of Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, kngi.org. It's everywhere.
And don't forget to go check out the Bumble store at shop.spreadshirt.com/Bumble store. You can get yourself some Bumble gear and some things to deck out your Bumble house. Because you have one of those, right? You better have a Bumble house. You better get on that.
Unless you live in a Bumble condo.
Yes, maybe.
I bumbled the line, but oh well, whatever.
Maybe you live in a Bumble cabin or a Bumble cottage. I don't know.
Bumble cabana.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you live in
might be going over there soon myself. I needed to do a phone upgrade, so I might just get myself a Bumble case.
Ooh, fancy. What about the Twitch streams? Tell us about those, Ian.
Well, you can watch us streaming games, and by we, I mean mostly Kyle, over on twitch.tv/BumbleKast Gaming. Wednesdays and Fridays at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, and Sundays 10 p.m. Eastern. Keep your eye on the Twitter for announcements in case we have to cancel or reschedule, or I finally start pulling my own weight and stream myself. Who knows?
You know what? I enjoy the streaming. It's fun, and it gives me a good excuse to play games, which I don't normally do for some reason, because I'm a weirdo. But now I kind of feel obligated, like, oh, I can't play that game. I'm going to stream it eventually. And now I'm like, oh, well, great. Now I have another excuse to not play games. So, yeah. Check it out, though. We have fun over there. I've been playing Sonic Heroes. It's definitely a game. It's all right. I still have a soft spot for Sonic Heroes, you know? But, yeah, we're having fun over there. So, check it out.
Another game with a very excellent soundtrack. Anyway, that's it for this edition of the Bumble King Q&A. We will see you in a week, hopefully, to answer more questions. Take care and enjoy Tangle and Whisper in the Bumble Games. Oh my god!
Do it! Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Speed Battle. You must play them, because they're things you can play.
Next thing to upgrade is this laptop because it chugs.
Is that still the same laptop you had 5 years ago?
Might be. It's been so long, I don't remember.
Was it still falling apart?
Oh, I have it on like a small dinner tray, because the heat is so much. And between the edge of the tray and the plug, I stole a bit of Aaliyah's nail care paraphernalia to wedge the plug into place, because if it isn't wedged in, it will fall out, and within a few seconds it will just poof.
You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
Here we go. BumbleKast for July 6th and 6th.
6th.